Hopefully you can hear me. Let's double check the settings. Desktop microphone is good. Sorry about the delay, if you were waiting. What? Technology just doesn't want to work today. Really giving me a hard time. There was some internet connectivity issues. And now I see I'm getting some camera issues. Oh, this is because I closed this. Okay, yeah, phew. I thought there was something more serious going on. All right, we'll just leave it at that. Yeah, I still don't know about Kick. I'm not sure. Doesn't seem to be loading the category. I can't select any category. I can't choose even a game. If you can't choose a category, then you can't stream to Kick. It's simply required. You need to select something. So there's some sort of bug on the Streamlabs end. So again, I'm doing this whole multi-streaming thing. I don't know how long that's going to last. I think eventually I'm just going to stick to one platform. But for now, I'm streaming to a bunch. But I highly recommend, if you're watching this, try to just pick either Twitch or YouTube as the preferred platform, because those seem to be the most stable. So, as usual with these sessions, I'm going to start off by talking about a particular topic. I've been doing quotes, and quotes are good because they do typically have a little topic contained within them, and then I just talk about that. Moving forward, I'm going to actually start developing probably some sort of lesson plan so I can really walk people through. If you're really committed to mindfulness meditation to improve your well-being, to reduce your stress, to basically live a life without regret, then you should really tune in. And I would highly suggest you tune in every day. I'm going to give free meditations. This is a rare gift. Now, I'm not an expert at this. I'm still learning myself, but I do want to do a really good job. So I'm going to start developing a sort of lesson plan. I'm going to be walking you through progressively more advanced techniques so you can leverage the full benefits of mindfulness meditation. Now, the topic I wanted to talk to you guys about today is living a life without regret. And I want you to really think about that statement for a moment. What does it mean to live without regret? Right? The first thing that comes to my mind is, I'm like 95 years old, I'm on my deathbed, about to die, I look back over my life. I don't want to be sitting there full of regret at that time, right? I don't think anybody does. No one wants to look back after living their whole life, just about to die, and think, wow, I wish I did this. I wish I did that. I wish I didn't do this. You know, I wish I was kinder to this person. I wish I had tried to pick up a musical instrument, right? I wish I was more generous with my money. I wish I had paid attention to my son more, right? These are regrets. And nobody wants that, right? We want to live a life that we're satisfied with, we're happy with. When we're on our deathbed, we're just about to die, we want to look back with a smile and be satisfied with the life we've lived. So how do we do that? How do we make sure that when we get to that point, we are satisfied? Well, really what it would come down to is making sure that you are living your life in alignment with your values. Make sure you're living life intentionally. And this is something that meditation helps with. In fact, it is one of the core benefits of meditation. Because if you don't meditate, right, if you don't strengthen your mind, if you don't strengthen your awareness or your attention, if you just let it be, it will become weak and flimsy, just like your muscles, right? If you don't exercise, you're not going to be strong. You will be weak, and if you don't move your body around, you won't be limber. You know, your back will be like, oh, when you get up from the couch, right? So that's why we do those things. If you don't eat healthy, right, your body will respond. You will notice changes in your body which are not good, right? Negative impacts will start occurring. You know, you'll notice these negative changes in your body. You'll be gaining fat, you'll be clogging your arteries, whatever. So there are various things we already know. Everyone accepts already that you have to eat healthy to have a healthy life, to have a healthy body. You need to exercise to have a strong and healthy body. Otherwise, you know, especially as you get older, you start losing muscle mass, you start losing bone density. Actually, this reminds me, I was just yesterday, I was doing like a church social event, and I had to pick up a bunch of people from various places, and there are a lot of older people, you know, 65 plus. And I went into a nursing home, and I just was struck by the fact that pretty much everyone there was in a wheelchair. And a lot of these people weren't that old. A lot of them looked like they were in their 60s. A few of them maybe even in their 50s. And they were all so out of shape, and they were all so frail looking. It doesn't have to be that way. You can actually exercise your body and stay in shape so that when you're 80 years old, you're still ripping it. You know, you're doing curls, you're doing pull-ups, you're doing handstands. That's possible if you just commit to regular movement, right? But physical exercise is only part of it. Ensuring that you eat the right things, ensuring that you exercise your body, that helps the physical dimension, but it doesn't affect the mental dimension so much, right? Like maybe a little bit, you know, if you work out and get strong, that can boost your confidence. You know, there's some minor mental improvements you might notice, but in truth, you really want to start doing exercise dedicated to your mind, and that exercise is mindfulness meditation. Now, there are other things you can do to exercise your mind. You know, you can do Sudokus, you can do crosswords, you can do puzzles, right? There are different ways to exercise the mind and to create different effects, to create different benefits. If you want to sharpen your memory, for example, Mindfulness meditation has a very specific set of skills that it trains. And I mentioned these yesterday, and I'll mention it again for anyone who's watching for the first time. First of all, it helps you with your focus. If you ever feel like you're distracted, you can't stay attending to one thing for more than a few seconds, you're just like pretty much everyone else on the planet. And that's because most people don't strengthen their mind. They don't strengthen their focus. Mindfulness meditation will help with that. It also strengthens your awareness, right? So you can become more aware of the things around you. Most of us are living life, actually, we overlook things more than we actually look at things. I saw a quote about that the other day, and it's so true. We very quickly glance over at things. We're not really paying attention, right? I want you sometime to take the most mundane thing, right? Look at this hat. You might just glance at, oh, it's a hat. But just take this mundane object and look at it as if you were looking at it for the first time. And try to take in every aspect of it. And you might realize that there is a world of experience to be had. And this relates to the quote I brought up before about simply being able to look at a blade of grass and see a whole world of activity in life going on. And that's the reality. There's so much going on in the world, and we just overlook 99% of it. We don't even notice. So training our awareness helps us notice the things that are going on around us. And this can help in so many ways. I mean, just one obvious way is the social aspect, right? This idea of it's called reading the room, right? You walk into a room of people, and if you're just like not focused, if you're not aware, and you're just kind of like doing your own thing on autopilot, you may not notice the energy of the room, where people are at. So just being aware of other people and their body language and their tone of voice, you can get a sense of like where the energy of the room is, and that can help guide how you go forward from there, right? If you walk into a room and you start saying, hey, yeah, and start partying, but everybody's really, somber, they're mourning the death of their friend, right? Like that might not be appropriate. So valuable skill to have, but just in general, being aware about the things that are going around you and the things that are going on inside you is such a valuable skill. And especially the stuff that's going on inside you, because that helps you understand what your body is telling you. And this is something that human beings have lost pretty much probably around since the birth of civilization back in ancient Mesopotamia about 12,000 years ago. Pre-conquest humans lived in much deeper connection with their bodies. You can actually look this up. There are anthropologists who have studied tribes around the world that have never been conquered, right? So they still live like the classic way that humans lived for hundreds of thousands of years. And they have a deeper connection with their body. They're much more living in the moment. They don't like hold on to things like we hold on to things today, right? They don't bottle things up. When they feel an emotion, they feel it. It's visceral. They express it right there. It's discharged and it's gone. There's no like being like holding it in your inside and getting it stuck in there and feeling depressed, and that there's a whole there's a whole host of mental health issues that we've brought upon ourselves because we've lost this ability to connect with what's going inside of our bodies. So again, awareness is just one other piece that mindfulness meditation trains, both awareness internally and awareness externally. And then another thing that it trains is your executive control, your ability to redirect your focus or attention from one point to another. So the first one was just being able to stay focused on something for as long as you want to, right? Not be distracted. If you're like, oh, I need to study for 30 minutes, I need to do this, I want to get a good grade on this test, being able to focus and stay on that subject without getting distracted is very valuable. But then there's also the skill of redirecting your focus as needed. executive control. So this is another thing that mindfulness helps you with. When you take a lot of these things together, you know, this focus, this awareness, this executive control, what they combine together to create is an ability to direct your will towards the things you care about, towards the things that matter to you, as opposed to just living on autopilot. And this is where living a life with regret or without regret comes in. If you live your life on autopilot, right, you're just kind of like going through life, you're not really paying attention, that's how you end up with regrets when you're older, right? That's how you end up behaving in ways that you look back later and you're like, wow, I wish I wasn't like that. I wish I wasn't so mean to that person. I wish I was nicer. I wish I had spent more time with my daughter. But instead, I just came home and I wanted to play video games, and that's what I did, you know? If you're mindful, if you develop the quality of mindfulness, you learn to live life with greater intention, live in alignment with what you truly value, and so that when you get to the end of your life, you're far less likely to feel like you have a lot of regrets. Now, it's not a bulletproof solution, but it is a powerful solution to get you most of the way there. And of course, there's so much more to it. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So this is a little bit of the intro that I wanted to give for this meditation. It's just this idea of being able to live a life without regret, in alignment with your values, to live intentionally. And so we're going to practice today. If you're new to meditation, don't worry. I'm going to just walk you through it step by step. It's really quite simple. It's so incredibly simple, and it really only takes a couple minutes a day. But like anything, of course, it is a skill, right? If you try to work out and gain some muscle, you know, you try to stretch, you want to get more flexibility. If you only do 1 minute of stretching a day, or you take one dumbbell and you do 1 minute a day, like, yeah, sure. I mean, congrats. That's good. It's better than nothing. But if you can commit to 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes, you're going to see a lot more improvement a lot faster. So again, I would just do whatever you can. If you can only do 5 minutes a day, that's totally fine. That's better than nothing. But if you can just make a commitment to yourself right now and say, I'm going to do 30 minutes a day, you will see a lot more improvement. And I think that's the key in the beginning, because when you first start, you know, it's like you want to see changes, you know, you're like, is this working? I'm just sitting here like, this seems useless. Well, you'll see these changes quicker if you're willing to commit to yourself to do solid 30 minutes a day. So that's what I encourage. I'm going to do an hour here, actually. I'm going to commit myself to an hour of meditation every day. I'm going to lead the first half of the meditation, showing you how to do it, giving you guidance on how to do it effectively. And then the second half will be mostly self-guided, where you'll take that guidance that I offer and you'll practice that yourself. So without further ado, let's get started. First, I would like you to find a comfortable position where you're sitting upright with good posture. If you just have a chair like this, oh, hey, Micah, welcome. I'm just getting started with the beginner's meditation. Oh yeah, you just reminded me. I want to get better at clips. There's something like I can do these clips. Highlighter. Yeah, I need to learn how to do these clips. Maybe I need longer clips. I don't know. But yeah, welcome, Micah. I'm about to start. So yeah, again, if you're new to this, you're watching this later, if you just have a chair, that's great. I would get like a hard edge chair. You know, it can have a little soft cushion, that's fine, but I wouldn't lean against the chair because you'll tend to slouch over time. And we want to have good posture. We want our bodies to be healthy. So I would just sit up against the edge of the chair and sit up straight. You can put your hands right on your legs. And this is a nice, comfortable position should be comfortable for most people. There's also specific chairs you can get for meditation. Some people like the sort of Indian stance, seated position, whatever is comfortable for you so you can maintain an upright and alert posture. Now, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and I want you to take these breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. This is actually a specific technique which calms the body down. And I want you to begin by focusing on your breath. And again, wherever your breath is most prominent to you, whether it's the tip of your nose, somewhere in your throat, the top of your lungs, wherever. But we're going to set that as our anchor point. And the practice here, known as anapanasati, I probably butchered that in the original Pali language, is mindfulness of the breath. And we just want to keep our attention anchored to our breath the entire time. Follow the in-breath all the way through to the out-breath and back, with your attention fixed on that anchor point. And that really is the core of the practice. But you'll notice that every once in a while you've gotten distracted. It's usually by a thought, thinking about the future, what you're going to do for dinner today, when you're going to pick your daughter up from school. Sometimes it's about the past, an interaction you recently had that you wish went differently. Sometimes it's a sensation, a pain you feel, an ache. It could be anything. When you notice that you're distracted, remember, the goal here is to focus on the breath. So when you notice you're distracted, then at that point, just gently nudge your attention back to your breath. And that's it. Focus on the breath. Notice you're distracted. Pull your attention back. That trains all 3 things I mentioned earlier. Focus, which is like awareness, meta-awareness, and executive control. It's really that simple. And you can take this one technique all the way to enlightenment, according to the Buddha. And I would trust him as an authority. Now we choose the breath because the breath is always now. But technically it could be any anchor that brings you back to the present moment. But if you're just a beginner, stick with your breath. Now, occasionally I'm going to offer some tips, and you can use my voice as a reminder to focus on your breath. So sometimes I'll specifically say, whenever your attention has wandered, gently pull your attention back to your breath. But you can just use my voice in general as that reminder. Sometimes I'll bring up other tips. For example, one tip I mentioned the other day is counting. You can count your breaths. In breath, out breath. That's one. In breath, out breath. That's two. And just see how high you can go before you get distracted. It's important to not judge yourself. When you're counting, maybe you can only get to 2 before you get distracted. That's okay. Everyone's brain is different. Everyone starts at a different spot. Some people get distracted very easily, others not as quickly. You are you. Doesn't matter where anyone else is. if you find your mind has wandered off, that's perfectly normal. Just gently pull it back to your breath. Remember, it's not so much of a technique here that's important. It's about an attitude of ease and openness. You don't want to be resisting things that come across your consciousness. It's not about control. It's about accepting whatever comes before your mind. Thought, feeling, sensation, whatever. You can notice it and go back to your breath. Hey Durag, welcome. We just started. We're a little bit of ways into our mindfulness meditation. The theme of this one is about living a life without regret. How do you go your entire life and you're sitting on your deathbed at 100 years old, looking back at your life, and you smile with joy and appreciation for the life that you had, rather than looking back and being full of regrets? How do you ensure it's the former and not the latter? Well, one powerful way is through meditation. And if you missed the beginning part of this video, I highly recommend you check it out after, because I explained that in detail. But for now, if you want to jump in, I invite you to close your eyes, get in a comfortable position, sit upright and alert, and focus on your breath. You can do this anywhere you are, whether you're outside, in your house, on the train. Anywhere is compatible. practice here is to focus on our breath wherever it feels strongest to us. And we want to cover our breath with our whole attention. The full inhale and exhale, because they're continuous, right? In and out. Because the breath is now. We're always breathing now. And when you get distracted, that's perfectly okay. Just gently pull your attention back to your breath. That is the practice. Focusing on the breath, getting distracted, pulling your attention back to the breath, repeating that over and over and over again. And over time, your focus will get stronger. You'll be able to stay with your breath longer before you get distracted. You'll be able to more quickly divert your attention back from your distraction to your breath. And you'll more quickly notice when you are distracted. In this way, we are honing the neural pathways of our brain to improve our focus, our awareness, our attention, and our executive control. And when you combine these together, they help us lead more intentional lives, lives without regret. If you need to periodically adjust your posture, that's all right too. We don't want to be stiff, so feel free to wiggle your fingers and toes, move your legs a little bit, move your body to stay comfortable. Now, I previously mentioned the counting technique to get a sense of how long you can maintain your focus. I also want to introduce another technique known as labeling. And this can help you get a sense of the kinds of thoughts, the kinds of sensations, and the kinds of experiences which fill your consciousness. It's really simple. Whenever you notice you're distracted, label that experience, that distraction. So for example, if you're planning what to do in the future, what meal to cook for dinner, you can label it planning. If you are feeling an emotion, you can label it feeling, or maybe even the specific word for the emotion, like sadness or frustration or excitement. Or if you're thinking about the past, you can label it remembering. Whatever the prominent tone of your experience that distracted you, you can label it. And it could just be as simple as thinking. It doesn't have to be too specific. And then pull your attention back to your breath. And with time, you might notice a pattern. Are most of my distracting experiences related to planning for the future? Or are they mostly me remembering things from the past and going over them in my head? Or is it always about some feeling of pain or tension in my body? Just notice it. You don't need to judge yourself one way or another. Just notice it and accept it and go back to your breath. I want you to try that now. Next time you're distracted, label it. And do that for the remainder of this session. In the last minute of the session, I want you to think of 3 things you're grateful for. And if you've been doing these meditations with me, try to think of something you haven't thought before and say why you're grateful for these things. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. Move your body a bit. And I think I'll call that session there. 33 minutes. I think what I want to do is transition to cooking. Actually, some people said they really liked the cooking live stream that I did. But in general, yeah, I just do live streams that are already integrated into my life. So I need to cook because I want to have some food prepared for my mother. Whenever she's hungry, she can eat throughout the day, grab some for lunch. So I'm going to do a little bit of food prep, and I think I'll just get started on that and do another 30 minutes, maybe later in the evening. The universe is full of magical things patiently waiting for our wits to grow sharper. Eden Philpotts. So true. Like I said before, we mostly overlook things rather than look at things. So I'm going to transition here. Thanks for joining. And yeah, I think I actually closed the stream. I feel like I want to clip these streams at the beginning and end of each activity. So since we're moving to a different activity, people can check out the mindfulness stream and they can check out the meditation, and it's not attached to the cooking stream. So I'm just going to stop and start it up again in a few minutes when I get to the kitchen.